The name of this show is Living Wisdom, and I'm Patty Paul. Today, once again, my guest is my friend Lyn Eyman, and welcome, Lyn. Lyn is going to be channeling a wonderful being friend by the name of Dillon, who always has something wise and often witty to share with us. So I'm going to invite you to go ahead and begin your channeling process, Lyn. And we're going to be rolling the credits. When the credits are finished, I expect Dillon to be with us shortly.
Well, good afternoon.
Welcome back. Thanks once again for being here today, Dillon. And I know we have a very juicy and interesting and broad topic, I might add.
We didn't leave anything out.
I noticed. So this will be great. In a half an hour, you'll be telling us what we need to know about the past, present, and future realities. Please do begin.
All right. Well, as dear Patty said, that does cover quite a bit of territory, past, present, and future. So we will start out by telling you what perhaps many of you have not heard before, in that the present is created from the future on a backdrop of the past. And that beautiful, beautiful truth comes from another unseen friend named Lazarus. And we will say that's the basic premise of our talk today. And basically what that means is that your future, the future that's out there, is what's creating the present. And the future that's out there for you is based on your past. And by that we mean the beliefs and attitudes you have about yourself is projecting your future. And that future is projecting your present. So the way to change your future is to change and work with your past. What happened in your past? All right, you were born. You were born to a set of parents that you chose between lives in order to bring forth certain issues that you've decided to work on this lifetime. For instance, the channel, one of her focuses for this lifetime is trust. So she chose parents who would break trust and very much bring her the belief that trust didn't exist, that she couldn't trust herself, she couldn't trust her family, she couldn't trust authority, and she had to work with that because that's an issue that she decided on this lifetime she was going to work on. And that has been the progression of her lifetime, is to work on trust issues. And that's part of the reason that she became a channel. It takes a lot of trust to move yourself out of the way and let an unknown, unseen being speak through you. And so of events, and that the more she does that, and other things also, the more her trust builds and the more she's on the path to creating a present, because the future she's projecting by all the work she's done through these years on trust. In the future, she has perfect self-trust that is projecting into the present. And so that's just one issue. So in the past, in your past, it's over, it's done with, but it is affecting you very much in the now because of what happened in your past is what you think will continue to happen to you into your future. And that future is affecting your present. So what can you do about it? What can you do to change your present? Is by working with that past, healing the hurts, allowing that past to be healed and let go of, and creating a marvelous, wonderful future that is projecting the present. So, does that seem totally understandable?
Yes, it does.
It's a difficult concept to grasp when you first hear it. So we totally understand that there will be those who will be shaking their heads and saying, giving us the old eye as to whether that's true or not. But look at the, we can only give examples here. The channel in the past grew up in a family where she was totally undervalued because she was female. It was back in those days, and unfortunately still in these days in certain areas, but much, much better, where it was thought that to be born female was lesser than to be born male. And therefore, she grew up with these beliefs about herself that she was lacking, that she was nothing special, that the only way she had to be loved was to help others, to do what other people wanted her to do, to be what other people wanted her to be, because as a female she had no inherent value, only the value she could earn. So based on those beliefs, she projected a future where, of course, that was compounded and just the same, only more. Now, what she has done over these years since discovering metaphysics and how you can change your reality by changing yourself is she has let go of many of those beliefs from her past. And she no longer believes that being born female makes her lesser being. She no longer believes that the only way to gain love is to earn it. She no longer believes that the only value she has is what she can do for others. And now those beliefs, because she's let go of those, changed those from her past, her future is now projecting the present where those things are not true in her reality. And this makes an intricate but very workable way to change your reality by changing yourself. So how do you do that? How do you look at your past and see what is coming up for you? One way is when you have an issue that's bothering you about yourself, something about yourself you don't like. Say, for instance, you can't say no. All right, so you look at that issue and you think to yourself, when was the first time I remember that feeling of not being able to say no, not being able to be loved if I didn't say yes? When was the very first time you felt that? And let yourself go back to your past, to your childhood, to remember and find that time. You exactly what happened, what made that belief, that attitude come into your being so strongly that you project it all the way into your future. And you can start to change it. You can start to see it for what it really is, the very first thing that you want to do. and say no. Okay, I found this out. I said no. Is that it? No, of course not. Reality is, creation is complex. It's simple and yet complex. And we each have an inner child. We each have an inner adolescent. And you can go into a sort of meditative state. You can go into full meditation, but even just going into a very quiet meditative state and thinking of your child and bringing that child into a situation where you can talk with them and allow them to pour out their heart to you and get their feelings about things and tell them how much they are loved and tell them that what their parents or what their classmates did or said was wrong, and tell them, figure out with them what is really true. And that will change. It will change the feelings inside of you to understand that there's nothing wrong with you for being female. There's nothing wrong with you. That means you can't be loved. It was wrong with them. It was their problem, not yours. That can change so much. It just allows you to blossom. It allows you to bloom like a flower as you come to the realization that I am a good person. I am lovable. What a concept for so many of you. For as a child, your authority is your parents. And of course your schoolmates very much influence what you think about yourself. You're putting your whole being, getting your input about yourself from those around you. And to see that some of those people had very much problems of their own that they were given to you hand over fist. And that you can say, no, thank you for the gift, but I'm giving it back. And you turn around and you say, no, I don't believe that about myself. I won't believe that about myself. I'll believe this instead. And we will emphasize here that whenever you are doing this sort of work, it is very important to replace a belief that you no longer want with a belief that you do want. And if you want to write them out, that's fine. Writing helps your subconscious. Visualizing helps your subconscious understand more. So let's say that you have this belief and you have a whole bunch of beliefs that you uncover when you're looking at this or when you're talking with that child within you or that adolescent within you. And you write them down on a sheet of paper. You take another sheet of paper and you write down the positive ones that you want to replace. And one for one, right down the line. Then you can take the ones that you don't believe, and part of your ritual to get rid of them, besides just saying no, which we believe you have heard before somewhere, is you can tear it up, burn it if you can, if you have a situation where you can, or flush them down the toilet is a great thing to do, very symbolic. And then every day read those positive ones until you really, really feel you believe them inside. And your child believes them. Talk about them with your child until they believe them too. You will be surprised, shocked, delighted at how that changes what shows up in your outside world, your reality. For it does change things. What you create in your reality around you is a reflection of your inner being. And if that inner being has positive beliefs and attitudes about themselves, it has to be reflected in your reality. It's the way the universe works. So are there 5.5 beliefs that you have? Absolutely. So if you take care of this set and there's still something in your reality that you're not too happy about, then you look and you try to find some others that pertain exactly to what it is that's still bothering you. Let's say that now you've got more love in your life, you've got more people loving you, you've got more situations where that you're allowed to say no, which is a wonderful thing for some people, first for many. But you're still having problems over here in this area. Well, then you go and specifically around this issue, you try to figure out your beliefs and attitudes about that particular thing. For instance, let's say that you're doing so well in this area of being able to say no, respecting your own boundaries, but you're still having trouble over here around finances. Every time you get a bit of money, you get twice as many bills. You're still struggling over there. All right, let's go back to that past that's projecting the future, that's creating your present, and see what attitudes you have from your parents, from your peers, from your society at that time around money. Did your parents believe that it was always scarce, that it was always a struggle? Did your world reflect a similar type of atmosphere, for instance, during the Depression or other times of economic hardship? Look at those beliefs that you have about money and start working on changing them and see how that turns up in your reality as a betterment of your situation around finances. Let's say that, all right, it's eased up in this way, you're now letting more money in to your reality, but every once in a while something will crop up and take it away. All right, now, all right, you've done your processing, as it's sometimes called, around the beliefs about money, but perhaps this is a belief around when something good happens, something bad always follows, which is very common and constantly needs to be noticed, for it seems to be one of the tenets of your society that no one is allowed to be happy all the time. It's just not allowed. So therefore, this is very common and one that you can work on. Work with the child, work with the adolescent, work with yourself, and change that belief and see if that doesn't ease things up. And we'll tell you a funny story about the channel that shows how this can work. She did a lot of work about being visible. And consequently, after that, just a few days after that, she would come out in the morning and there would be bird dew all over her vehicle. Well, she lived in an apartment complex and has no way to hose down the car, so it's like, and going to a car wash is not the cheapest thing in the world, so it's like, she would let it go. So this continued until it was to the point where within a week, her car was covered. The car on one side, not one. The car on the other side, not one. Hers, 40 at least on her car. Well, for her, with her background and her understanding and how she knows this works, she was laughing about it more than anything else and said, okay, I get the message. I believe that if I'm visible, I'm going to get pooped on. And in her case, she was allowing it to manifest visibly as this message that she had beliefs around what would happen, the awful things that would happen if she was visible. So she worked with those beliefs and worked with those beliefs and found she had more than she knew around this, changed them, started working with the positive beliefs around being visible, went and had her car washed. Since that, not one single one, and it's been almost a week.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a somewhat funny illustration of how that can work and how it can show up in your reality as changed very quickly.
Yeah, that's a great example, a dramatic example, and a great example of how to change that.
And we're sure that you have had that sort of thing happen in your life also, dear Patty.
I have. Something I mentioned recently to Lyn was the fact that I have a particular phone caller, someone who saw this Living Wisdom show several years ago, and over the years occasionally calls. And when I've called back, the conversation never really went anywhere, and yet this person keeps calling. And there's something disturbing about it, is all I can say. I sense something disturbing. So when I was speaking with Lyn about this situation, I said that what it is showing to me is that I have some fears about being literally more visible, more public, shall we say, and what can happen, the possibilities, sort of that stalker kind of energy that is talked about so much in show business, you know, in the entertainment business, that kind of thing. So I invite you to comment on this particular phone caller situation with me. I haven't taken the time yet to work with it, but...
Well, it is very much, as you say, as you have done this work enough to immediately tap into that you do have beliefs around the negative part of being visible, as we see so much in the media and examples over history of when you are visible, when you start to make a difference, when you are helping on a greater scale, there are supposedly negative consequences. And to look at that within yourself and let go of those beliefs, and yet understand that the consensus is the way it is because of the beliefs that you get from existing within that consensus. And all you can do in that situation where you have a belief that is out there that you are getting from the consensus is to understand that and say, this is a consensus belief that I do not want to tap into, that I do not want in my reality. And work from it from that direction.
Yes, that makes sense to me. And also what I've been repeating to myself is not only do I create my reality, but I create the consequences of things that I'm manifesting.
And that's the part that so many people forget.
The consequences.
The consequences.
That's empowering to really let that in and know that I do have power over the consequences of being more visible, having more impact, which I'm willing to do.
And it means taking the responsibility for the impact that you do have.
Ah, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you for that reminder.
Oh, you're very welcome. So, to look at your present as a reflection of your future against the backdrop of your past. You can see that the past has great value only in what it can teach you.
Yes.
And the moment you have learned that lesson, to let go of that part of the past, do not drag it with you. Your past can be like one of those old-time ball and chains that used to be attached to a prisoner to keep them from escaping. Well, you want to escape from the past. You absolutely do. But only after you have learned the lessons that are there for you, the lessons you placed there for you. So when you have worked with a certain lesson and gotten to the bottom of it, done what you need to do to change it, you have to let go of that part of the past. And the more parts of your past to let go of, because it's over, you can't change the past. You can only learn from it and then let it go.
I'm going to have to cut you off. At that point, we can only learn from it because we've gotten the signal that we're coming to a close today. And I would like to thank the viewers for watching. We've been having our wonderful Dillon speak to us today, Dillon channeled by Lyn Eyman. If there's anything you'd like to know about the belief system and principles that have been talked about, I wrote a book called A New Spirituality Beyond Religion, and that's available at libraries and other places. And again, thank you so much, Dillon. Thank you for watching.